Our next story is from Ukraine. It sounds nothing short of a thriller movie plot. What would you expect as a birthday gift? A bottle of perfume, some jewelry, some cutlery perhaps? But what if, in one of the swankily wrapped boxes, a grenade shows up? Sounds like something that would occur only in movies, does it not? But it actually happened in Ukraine to a high-ranking military official. The war has taken an ugly turn. It was Major Gennady Chastakov's birthday. He was a close advisor to the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian army. And now he is no more. Here's what happened. The Ukrainian official was celebrating his birthday with his relatives. He had received a couple of gifts from his colleagues. Reports say one of the gifts contained bottles of liquor and glasses shaped like grenades. They were only supposed to look like explosives. But guess what? One of them was actually a grenade. The Ukrainian aide obviously was not aware of this. He took one of them out and began showing it to his son. His son began twisting one of the grenade rings. The two were trying to open it up. They thought it was something else. The official ultimately pulled the ring. And just like that, there was an explosion. The advisor to Ukraine's army chief was dead. His 13-year-old son also suffered serious injuries. Investigations are underway. The police found 5 more of the same type of grenades in the official's apartment. But who sent them this grenade is the immediate question. Who wanted him dead? The police have identified the colleague who sent the deadly gift. 2 similar grenades were also found in this serviceman's office. You see, ever since the war started, a Ukrainian official being targeted like this is rare. Such mystery killings of officials have been reported in Russia, but not so much in Ukraine. Another interesting thing is, many regard the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the army chief Valery Zaluzhny as political rivals, and this view has only gained more traction recently, especially after Zaluzhny wrote in an essay that Russia and Ukraine had reached a stalemate in the war. President Zelensky has publicly disagreed with this statement. Also on Monday, Ukraine launched a criminal investigation into the military leaders who organized a recent medals ceremony. This ceremony was hit by a Russian missile strike in the Zaporizhia region. 19 soldiers of a Ukrainian brigade were killed. The commander of the brigade has been temporarily suspended during the investigation. Are Ukrainian officials really being targeted? Meanwhile, on the ground, Russian media saying Ukraine has shelled Donetsk and Makiivka. At least 3 people have been killed, more than 30 have been injured. In the last 24 hours, the Ukrainian military carried out a total of 57 shelling attacks on Donetsk. They have fired 169 munitions of various types. A total of 13 houses and 8 civilian infrastructure facilities have been damaged. Ukraine's military spy agency also claimed responsibility for the assassination of a Russia-backed lawmaker. Mikhail Filiponenko was killed in a car bomb in the occupied eastern city of Luhansk. And as per reports, bomb blasts targeting senior Russian-installed officials in occupied parts of Ukraine have occurred frequently during the war. Our next story is about the debate over assisted dying. While rapid developments in medicine and technology have given us the power to save more lives, what if an individual is in intractable pain, is given an estimate of a few months to live? Does hastening death become a viable and legitimate alternative for willing patients? Or should patients not have the right to end their lives? In the latest, 58-year-old actor and director Sibilla Barbieri last week chose assisted suicide and ended her life in Switzerland after the authorities denied her request in her home country, Italy. As per Vanity Fair Italy, the actress was suffering from terminal cancer for over 10 years, and as she was completely dependent on oxygen therapy, which, if interrupted, would have led to a painful death, given the severity of her condition, she had requested for assisted suicide back in July. But her application was rejected. And that brings us to a crucial question. Where does the world stand when it comes to the issue of assisted dying? Currently, There is legal provision for assisted dying in only 4 European countries. Switzerland is the only country which permits the act of assisted dying performed by a non-physician. Elsewhere in the world, an assisted death remains a criminal offence, prosecutable through various legal routes. Like, for instance, in the UK, all forms of assisted dying remain illegal and can be considered under criminal laws of manslaughter or murder. And even though in some ways the cultural conversation about assisted dying has evolved, it also raises a number of questions. Can a person with an illness rationally choose to hasten death? Medical language has long shaped and reshaped how we understand death. In 1968, a Harvard Medical School committee came to the conclusion that irreversible coma should be considered a new criterion for death. But those who oppose any measures permitting assisted dying argue that the society has a moral duty to protect and to preserve all life. The debate surrounding assisted dying is never far from the headlines. However, alongside the evolution of palliative care, there appears to be an increasingly vocal desire for legislations to support assisted dying in selected cases. The debate will increasingly come to the fore, something that healthcare professionals, politicians, legislators cannot ignore. I have some headlines for you. A 14-year-old boy died over the weekend while running a 5,000-meter race. This happened at a high school in Florida. What was the cause of this teenager's death? A cardiac arrest. A girl collapsed while entering an examination hall. She was all of 15 years old. She was about to appear for her grade 9 exams. The reason of her death is a suspected cardiac arrest. This incident took place in the Indian state of Gujarat. Now, these reports are from the last 5 days. 2 incidents in less than a week. Of course, they do not indicate an epidemic, but consider this. They were barely in their teens, and this is enough to send alarm bells ringing. Earlier in July, 2 more Indian teens lost their lives due to cardiac arrests, once again in the state of Gujarat. The same month, another teen from Michigan suffered a cardiac arrest. He was lucky enough to survive. His name is Alexander Bowison. Only 18 years old, but is already a cardiac arrest survivor. You see, a sudden cardiac arrest occurs when the heart stops beating or when it's not beating efficiently enough. It's triggered by a cardiovascular cause that occurs within 1 hour of the onset of the symptoms. But why are more and more teenagers falling prey to heart diseases? And why is this happening? Is it the lifestyle? Is it an after effect of the COVID-19 pandemic? What really is going on? What is to be blamed? Often, a sudden cardiac arrest is the result of a genetic condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. In this condition, abnormal genes cause the heart muscle to become thicker than normal. This can reduce the blood flow in and out of the heart. The American Heart Association estimating 1 in every 500 people have the condition. In many young adults and teens, the first symptom is a sudden collapse and possible death. However, some may experience chest pain and palpitations for years. But the thing is, such mild symptoms are usually ignored and the condition is not discovered until it's too late. And that is when the person has already gone into a cardiac arrest. Experts believe that such incidents of sudden cardiac arrests have increased following the pandemic. Several studies around the world have shown that even a mild COVID-19 infection has harmful effects on the cardiovascular health. The incidence of heart attacks and other cardiovascular diseases in late 20s and early 30s have become a lot more frequent now. Some doctors say it's not even surprising anymore.